All right, what's going on, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to be going over how to publish an Amazon best-selling book, meaning a book that is ranked #1 on Amazon for its specific category. So whether you're writing about business, travel, philosophy, whatever subject you're writing about, I'm going to give you 10 core strategies to make sure your book becomes an Amazon #1 bestseller. And just a quick background on where this advice is coming from. So I've published 15 different books on Amazon in the real estate as well as finance niche, several of which have become Amazon #1 bestsellers. So I have direct experience in giving you the advice that I'm talking about here. But not only that, I've taken pretty much every book publishing, book marketing course there is. And I've also networked and consulted with many of the top book marketers in the world. So I have a good background, a good frame of reference for giving this advice. So let's get into it. Lesson #1 for publishing an Amazon bestselling book is to first do research as to what types of books already sell. The problem I see with a lot of authors is they will try to write like the most obscure topic because no one else has covered it. But you're gonna have a much higher likelihood if you do some research and see like what's already selling in the top 100 on Amazon. And that's actually very easy to check. You can just go to any category on Amazon and it'll show the top 100 bestsellers. So that should start to give you some ideas as to the types of books that sell. Because you don't want to be too obscure with the topic. Usually that would mean that nobody's really searching for that topic. So while it might be a great book, if there's only like five potential people out there that would actually purchase it, you're not going to sell many copies and you're not going to become an Amazon bestseller. So the best way to see what types of books are already selling it is just browse through different categories on Amazon. Maybe jot some notes down as to, this type of book would be interesting, this type of book kind of catches my attention. But you can browse categories in your niche as well as other niches just to see what sells. You want to base your book off of something that's already selling. And I would highly recommend you get a tool called Publisher Rocket, and I'll put a link to it below. But Publisher Rocket is going to give you lots of data, lots of insight into the types of subjects of books that sell well, approximately how much they're making per month, how competitive the niche is, and lots of other helpful information to help you come up with like a subject for your book. Lesson #2 for publishing a best-selling book is once you've come up with your general idea for your book based on what's already selling, based on the bestsellers out there, you need to come up with an outline. And similar to lesson 1, a great way to come up with an outline is just browse through other books that are in a similar niche. And that can give you all the ideas you need for your outline. So the great thing about Amazon is you can just click on different books for free on their site, and you can look at like the first 10 pages or table of contents to see what similar books have for their table of contents. And then maybe if you look through like 5 or 10 or 20 different books, that should give you a very good idea of your outline. And you never want to copy people, but you can get very good ideas just looking at similar books. And maybe you can add some things, subtract some things, but basically come up with your own outline based on other best-selling books. And the outline is going to be the most important thing. So a lot of authors will talk about, once the outline is done, the writing is pretty much the easy part. So the outline is just going to be the most difficult part, but you can base it on other bestsellers. And then once you have your general outline, let's say maybe 10 different chapters, right? Then you want to come up with subpoints underneath each main outline subject. So you want to have as many subpoints as possible under each subject so you have enough to write about. And then that'll give you a general idea of your book and how it's going to be presented. And we're always going to get it edited and whatnot, but this will be a good starting point. Lesson #3. So what a lot of people aren't aware of with Amazon's publishing criteria is that you can literally publish a book with like 5 words in it. You can publish a book with 0 words in it. There's something called zero content books, where it's basically just a cover page and then a bunch of blank pages. And people sell those types of books, and there's actually a way to sell them. That being said, as far as the word count, as far as how many words you want in your book, I would recommend an absolute minimum of 5,000, but honestly, I think that's probably too short. So I would go with 10,000. The books that I've written, they're all a minimum of 10,000 words, which is about an hour if you do an audiobook version. And 10,000 is even on the light side. So, 15 or 20,000 would probably be better. But overall, I think 10,000 words should be your absolute minimum starting point. And that's really not that hard to do. I mean, if you've written blog posts in the past, maybe your blog post might be 500 or 1,000 words. So the book is essentially going to be 10 times that, which, if you're focused and you have a good outline, you could do that in a week or a couple weeks. So it's not like you're going to be spending 5 years writing this book. And always remember, if you don't hit 10,000 words, just look at similar books and get more ideas from that, and then you can add chapters. And even if you don't hit 10,000 words and you just want to publish it, you can always upload a new manuscript later. So if you publish your book and people say, oh, it's too short, just update the manuscript. You can add more content to it later on. Amazon makes it very easy to upload and edit and different things like that. The main thing I think should just be to get your book out and try to meet some of this basic criteria like 10,000 words based on other best-selling books and some of the additional criteria that we're going to talk about. And once you publish the first one, you're really going to have a great idea of what goes into successful publishing, how to sell books, and you'll have a lot more experience. Lesson number 4, and this is very important, is the editing. If your book is not properly edited, it's just going to get bad reviews. It's not going to look good. People are not going to buy it. It's very important that you actually spend a lot of time and money and energy on your editing. But actually, it's really not that big of an investment. It's just you can't overlook it. You can't just, it's not just some like term paper that you're turning in that you don't really care about. This is like a book that you're actually making money on that could set you up for years down the road. So the way my editing process works is for the very first round, I will just completely write everything without really spending too much time thinking about editing. You know, if it's something egregious, I'll probably change it. But I'll have my outline. It'll be a pretty well-constructed outline. And I'll just sit down, you know, for 5, 10, 20 hours, 30 hours over the course of a couple weeks and just write as much as possible without worrying about the editing. Now, for the second round of editing, I typically will print it out or I'll use a service like Grammarly to basically go through the entire paper and start really crafting it into a more professional and polished document. So after looking at the document yourself, taking it through Grammarly, the next thing that you want to do is actually send it over to a professional editor. And a lot of people might think, oh, this is a waste of money. I can just have my friend, you know, look at the spell check and whatnot. I would say just don't do that. If you're going to publish something to make it professional, you need to get a professional editing service. And fortunately, there's plenty of these services out there. I'll put a link below to the ones I recommend. But basically, you want a professional writer to go through your writing. They're going to see things that you're not even aware of. The way it works with me is I'll go through my first round or two of editing, then I'll send it over to my editor. And she'll go through it for a week and basically change things that, like I mentioned, I wasn't even aware of. And she'll make it look a lot more professional. She'll make it sound a lot more professional. It'll still be my own voice, but she'll fix things that I might have missed. And once I get it back from the editor, it usually takes about a week or so, depending on how much work they have. And I think the cost is about $200. I'm sure you could get lower ones and probably higher ones as well. But it's something I wouldn't recommend skimping on. So once I get it back, I still need to go through it at least one more time just to make sure everything is in the place it's supposed to be, that there's no misspellings and things like that. Because even taking it through Grammarly, looking at it myself, sending it to a professional editor, there's still going to be some small changes that you'll need to make before getting it ready to publish. So lesson number 5 is that once you've gotten your manuscript back from the editor, you've proofread it yourself, and it's pretty much ready to go, now you need to get it professionally formatted. So the formatting is the interior of the book. It's how it looks to a potential purchaser. And what you don't want is your book to look like a book report from the 7th grade. You know, you don't want the Courier New like 12 size font and just a very basic cover page and things like that. You want your book to appear as though if it's like a New York Times bestseller, the same type of formatting that any of the big publishing companies would use. And fortunately, that's actually very inexpensive. I think I pay maybe 50 or 75, 25 bucks to get my book looking like it's a New York Times bestseller. So if you look at the interior of my books, the formatting, they're very professionally done. They look very nice, very crisp. Because you'll see a lot of books, if you just browse around Amazon, you'll see a lot of people where it literally looks like they just uploaded a Microsoft Word document. And that's not going to help your sales. It really won't. My goal for writing is for my book to actually have amazing content, be a great book, but also look like it's a great book. It's almost like, in the real estate industry, you could be the best real estate agent ever, but if you show up to a listing appointment or a showing appointment, and maybe you're driving some beater car and you're dressed very unprofessionally, you could be the best real estate agent, but the person's impression of you is probably not going to be the best. So that's why you really want to have just top of the line formatting. And I would recommend using Upwork. Reedsy is really good as well. But Upwork is also great. So those are 2 options right there. Lesson number 6 is your title. So obviously you need to come up with a title, and this is actually very important. A lot of best-selling Amazon authors will tell you that the title and the cover are going to be the 2 biggest factors that go into selling your book. And what I would recommend with your title is to look at the best-selling books in your industry as well as other industries and try to get some ideas based on those that are already selling a lot. And you also might want to throw in a keyword or 2 into your title just to help it rank higher. You never want to be spammy. You see some titles where people will try to have like 10 different keywords in their title, and they might rank high, but it's just not going to look very good, and people, eventually Amazon's algorithm is going to catch up where those books are not promoted as highly. So you should get out a blank sheet of paper and just look at the best-selling titles. For example, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That could be a great title to model your book after. So you could do the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Dentists or whatever it might be. And you can kind of mix and match different titles based on the already best-selling titles. So that's how you should come up with your title. And you should also, come up with like 3 or 4 titles, and then you can ask friends and family. You can run a Facebook poll. I've actually used a service called pickfoo.com, which is pretty cool because what you do, it's a polling service. So you can choose your 2 best titles, and then you put them head to head in a matchup essentially, and you'll have like 50 or 100 people vote on them and see which one is better. So that can give you some very good market insight. Lesson number 7 is your cover. So similar to your titles, you need a very attention-grabbing cover. You don't want to make it too ridiculous, but what you should do is screenshot like 3 or 4 covers that you really like. And then what you're going to do is you're going to send them to a designer to start working on them and give you a couple renditions. And then maybe you'll have like 2 or 3 or 4 to choose from, and then he'll narrow it down to 2 or 3, and then you'll choose the best one based on that. And some services I would recommend for covers would be Fiverr. I mean, you can get it done for like $5. I probably wouldn't recommend that, but if it's like a very simple type of cover, maybe you could just do that. But also Upwork is great, and 99 Designs, and Reedsy. And Reedsy is probably the best overall service, and I'm actually going to do a video on my experiences with Reedsy, but they have some cover designers that do stuff for like Stephen King and just all these super successful authors. So you can literally use the same cover designer as some of these New York Times best-selling authors. Lesson number 8 is your book description. So on Amazon, with like product descriptions and book descriptions, a lot of people actually don't utilize that space enough. They might just say, buy my product, buy my book, whatever it is. When in reality, you should be throwing in keywords, giving a great description. You can even put in testimonials. There's actually a guy, Brian Cohen, so he does like book blurb descriptions. You can look him up, he's on Amazon. So I would basically just model his types of book descriptions. So for example, I've modeled mine completely after his. And the way my book descriptions work is I use like bold HTML text, I use calls to action, I have a very attention-grabbing headline, I have keywords, I might throw in some testimonials. And honestly, if you want to look at good book descriptions, you can look at his. You can also just model mine. There's ways to make your book description stand out, and most people actually don't utilize it. Lesson number 9, and this is a way to triple your income on Amazon. And I'm not exaggerating. So most people, when they publish on Amazon, they might just have a Kindle book, which is the easiest to publish. That's just the ebook Kindle version reader. And some people love Kindle, some people prefer a physical book, some people prefer an audiobook. So what you should do is create 3 versions of the same book. So instead of having one digital product, you have 3. And much less if you did like an entire book series of, let's say, 10 books, and then you have 3 versions, that's 30 digital products. Essentially, you're taking over more internet real estate, so to speak. And the way to get your paperback and audiobook version published is actually very simple. So they just need to do a little bit of formatting, and then you can upload your paperback version. So I just use a formatter on Upwork who will format my ebook version into paperback version, and then I'll just upload it onto Amazon. It'll take like, 24 hours, and then it'll say, your paperback version is now live. So it's very easy and very straightforward, and the paperback versions, you actually make a lot more than the ebook versions. A lot of people put their ebook versions at like $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, whereas a paperback version, because it's like a physical product, there's more value in that, or at least people think that there's more value in that. So they'll pay a premium price. Paperback books are oftentimes $9, $10, $20. So there's a lot better margins if you do a paperback. And as far as getting the audiobook version done, it's very simple. So what I do is I go on a platform called ACX, which is part of Amazon, and that's how you produce your audiobook onto Audible and Amazon. And what you can do is you can just look for producers and look for narrators. And there's some narrators that are actually willing to do it for free in exchange for a royalty split. I just prefer to pay a narrator. I think that's the best way, so you're not tied to paying royalties, forever. So you basically copy and paste like the first page of your book onto ACX's platform. You input your book data, and then you'll have like 10, 20, 30 people basically apply and narrate that first page, and then you can choose the best one, depending on their race, depending on their voice, experience, different things like that. And once I choose a narrator, it usually takes, maybe a week or 2, depending on how long the book is, and they'll send me, updates and things like that, just to make sure it's sounding the right way I want it to sound. Because some books you might want to sound very business-like, other books you might want to sound more informal, so you want to make sure they have the right tone. And then once you get the final files, you'll basically just listen to it and make sure it sounds good, and then you'll approve it. And Amazon usually takes, or ACX usually takes, about a week or 2 to actually get it live on Audible. But once it's on Audible, you'll start making audiobook income every single month. And the audiobook market is growing rapidly right now. So people are honestly insane for not having the audiobook version done. And it's crazy too, because you'll see big name publishing companies that don't even do the audiobook version for their client. So there's companies that are leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by not creating the audiobook. And to create an audiobook of, if you have a 10,000 word book, let's say, your audiobook's gonna be about 1 hour. And I typically pay about $200 to $300 per finished hour. So, it costs me like $250, $300 to get it done. But it's going to be sounding great. You won't have to go yourself to a studio and record it yourself and listen to your own voice. Everybody hates that. So you can have a professional voice narrator essentially do it for you, and it's going to sound amazing. Okay, lesson number 10 for publishing a best-selling book on Amazon is to create a series around your book or topic. So the same way with the Harry Potter series, right? If someone reads one of the Harry Potter books and they really like it, chances are they're going to buy all the Harry Potter books. So if you're an author and you're writing about real estate, let's say, that was my niche. I would publish a book about real estate, and some people would love it, some people wouldn't. But the people that loved it would also purchase the other books in the series. So you're leaving a lot of money and sales on the table if you don't publish a series around your topic. And I can guarantee you that every single topic out there, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is, there's a potential to do a series. You can just look at other ideas and other books in your niche and start coming up with ideas based on that. Definitely do a series of books. Maybe you can start with like a 3-book series and then eventually do 5, 10, 20, to the point where you have an entire library out there on Amazon. Okay, so thanks for watching this video on how to publish a best-selling book on Amazon. And I'm going to list the recommended resources below so that you have access to basically the same resources that I use. And if you're serious about publishing on Amazon, making money on Amazon, becoming a professional author, I put together an online program that's available on my website. So if you want more information on kind of like a step-by-step getting your book published, having it sell, and making money as a professional author, definitely check out the program below. And thanks for watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. All right, bye.